welcome to Rising. We have a glorious Wednesday show for you today, and let's get right into it, Briahna, shall we?
We shall. Robby, Tucker Carlson is ready to go to battle after he was told by members of Fox Corporation's board that his benching was a condition of the network's settlement with Dominion Voting Systems, according to reporting in Variety. A source close to Carlson told Variety that the host is prepared to litigate or watch the network implode, attempting to challenge free speech if they try to shut down his new Twitter show.
Now, Variety also reports that a handful of other Fox News personalities have reached out to Carlson to say they're, quote, eager to join whatever venture he starts on Twitter when their contracts are up. Meanwhile, ratings on Fox still recovering after Carlson's exit. The Economist reports that viewership of the 8 p.m. hour plummeted by 50% in the days after Carlson's exit and have remained low. And yeah, we've been going over some of the numbers for Fox and for its competitors, frankly. The CNN town hall, good numbers in the 3 million range overall, but then CNN drops back right behind, dropped to fourth on some of the rankings. It's not a great time for cable news overall right now. We're not, when we're in the midst of an election cycle, I would expect it to go up. Honestly, I would expect once they find a permanent replacement host, that bringing a little stability to the roster, I would still expect the numbers to recover somewhat. But there's no arguing that Tucker is a gargantuan entertainment, news, media, celebrity figure with a huge following, with an ideology all his own, with a finger on the pulse of the GOP, with his hand on the steering wheel of the GOP, in fact. So he can still have tremendous power and influence and reach on Twitter, perhaps.
Yeah, I think the real question about Twitter isn't whether or not necessarily he'll have reach. I think there's this way that, the same way Trump tweeting on Twitter can control a news cycle, something he doesn't really do very much anymore at all, that Tucker can definitely have influence. We saw how many views just the little video clips he's posted so far have gotten. There's definitely interest. I think there is some question about whether or not he's going to be able to reach the same kinds of people that he reached on Fox News, whether or not the kinds of people who had a cable subscription and were watching Fox are the much smaller community of folks who have Twitter profiles and will log in, or if the bargain will pay off. I think the bargain that Elon Musk hopes will happen, which is that a lot of people who weren't normal Twitter users do subscribe to Twitter for this purpose, and he is able to both expand his own reach and the reach of Twitter as a platform.
It'll be interesting because overall, Fox's viewers, and I think there's an argument that Tucker had somewhat younger viewers, but overall, just cable news viewers in general, people still turning on the TV. I have a cable subscription. You probably don't.
I don't.
Almost no one I know has one except me, because I do like to turn on the TV and mostly just flip back and forth between CNN, Fox, and MSNBC for story ideas, for things we're going to agree with or disagree with, etc. I don't think I would watch for my own enjoyment or entertainment. It's a job, right?
Sure.
But most people, under the age of of like 60, they just stream everything. So the people who still have cable subscriptions, who have the TV on all day, are disproportionately much elderly people, our grandparents, our great-grandparents, etc. So the idea that they're going to switch over to Twitter doesn't strike me as particularly likely, honestly. Especially subscribe to something on Twitter, sign up for something.
Right.
I can see that.
Exactly.
That's not they're not gonna put in their credit card information.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I was trying to just compare the total number of just generalized users on Twitter versus an app like YouTube. Apparently, Twitter is the 16th most popular social networking site as of July of 2021, with 8.85% of the world's overall user base. YouTube is vastly greater and larger and has vastly more viewerships. And when you see videos on YouTube get, 1 million hits, that's not the same dynamic we're typically used to seeing on Twitter. So I am worried that even if Tucker Carlson does manage to attract an audience on Twitter and even benefit Twitter in growth in some way, that his broader cultural impact is not going to be the same for the average normie who is not going to want to log off and then log in digitally to get that same kind of content.
We still don't understand what the details would be, because Elon Musk has said there's no deal in place to treat Tucker any differently than any other user. So if that's the case, can Tucker, the raw videos he's creating, they're going to go on Twitter? Are they also going to get cross-posted to YouTube, as was the case when he's on Fox? Fox content. Yeah, and sometimes we knock cable news for having the low audience, the live audience it actually has, but then when those clips get put on YouTube, they do numbers that are often very substantial.
Very substantial, exactly. So compare, YouTube has more than 2.68 billion active users. That's like a third of the world's population, compared to Twitter having an 8.85% of the world's overall social media use. There are some estimates that there are 4.48 billion people using. Oh, that's all of social media monthly.
Yeah.
So yeah, Twitter has a much, much smaller piece of the pie.
Yeah.
And so I think there's some real questions here about reach, but what is Tucker Carlson's priority? Is his priority earning money? I think that he'll have no problem doing that. I'm sure that he'll either be able to strike a deal with Elon Musk. Elon Musk obviously has more than enough money to compensate him for whatever contractual needs he needs to stay on that kind of a website. But, is he doing this just for the money at this point? If we were doing it for the money, that there's some question about whether or not there would have been so much friction.
And, I wouldn't have necessarily thought that Spotify was going to be a great place for like a Joe Rogan type person. Someone of his, independent, iconoclastic personality and views with a massive audience. But he's so in demand. His people are so loyal and so numerous, it was fine to paywall him behind Spotify. That absolutely worked. So maybe Tucker can do a similar thing.
Spotify is an app for listening to podcasts.
Yeah.
It is well designed and developed for that purpose. Twitter is not. And in the past, there was some commentary from other social media companies that have attempted to launch video shows on Twitter, and their problem was, their diagnosis of why they didn't work out is because Twitter is formatted so that people scroll. You're not really supposed to stop and linger for very long. There was controversy over even doubling the number of characters you could use in a tweet because there was some concern that people didn't want to stop to even read that much less stop to watch a lengthy video. And while occasionally video clips go viral, I think that Twitter was...
Video clips, not an hour-long show.
And generally speaking, unless you have Twitter Blue, Twitter only allows you to post a clip of 2 minutes and 20 seconds, and that all is built into the culture of the site. So, Elon has changed Twitter so that, again, if you have Twitter Blue, you can post really long rants, which I don't think many people are availing themselves of. And again, I think when people overpost the 240 characters, no one really opens and looks.
You have to triple click through to get to them right now.
I don't think anyone's really doing.
Yeah.
Is this kind of cultural change going to make Twitter better? And is it actually going to make Tucker's show something that people want to consume in this format?
What do you make of the rumor that Tucker's former co-hosts, maybe colleagues at Fox, maybe want to decamp and join him?
That's not surprising. I mean, look.
I think it's maybe unlikely, but...
Tucker is a sure thing. And when he left...
more of a sure thing than whatever gig they have going.
It depends on the host.
Yeah.
There are people at various levels with various degrees of security at these networks. I mean, I'm less familiar with the inner workings of Fox, but we've been covering any number of cancellations of shows at CNN and MSNBC. People like Brian Stelter that you would think were fixtures and relatively senior at these institutions are being let go, not because of any wrongdoing or any kind of Don Lemon-style controversies, and not even necessarily because their shows are particularly bad from a ratings perspective, at least compared to the competition, but simply because there are these reorgs that are happening and people are feeling unstable in the business.
Sure. Stelter was perceived as bad branding for the new direction Chris Licht wanted to take, I think. And we did criticize him, or I criticized him a lot for the hyperbolic tone of some of his coverage of misinformation and a lot of other subjects. I actually think he's a much better writer. His writing on the situation with Tucker has been fantastic. He's had some really good scoops. So maybe he was freed up to do his best work, and maybe the same will be said for Tucker Carlson.
Yeah. I mean, do you think that other Fox News people are likely to jump ship and join Tucker Carlson?
I do not.
None at all?
Not for an instant.
Not even, the secretary a la, the famous scene with Tom Cruise and the goldfish from
what?
the 90s. When Tom Cruise and You Had Me at Hello.
I don't know this one.
Okay, famously he stands up and he leaves his corporate job and no one will come with him except for Renee Zellweger, his secretary with the gold, Jerry Maguire.
Yeah,
you don't think that there's anybody who's loyal enough to want to go with Tucker to the new shop?
I think people like a safe thing.
All right, well, we'll find out
soon.
We'll have more Rising for you right after this.